For the pledge, Jerry, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley.
Here.
Veronica Buchanan. Jerry Sartain.
Here.
Joe Machoto.
Here.
Michael Rather.
Here.
Jared Barrett.
Here.
Zane Cantrell.
Present.
We have a quorum.
You have the meeting minutes of the last meeting that we had, and are there any changes or additions to those minutes?
Move be approved, Mr. Chairman.
Right, we have a motion that be approved.
Second.
Have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. They are approved. We have 4 items on our agenda. We'll first ask our staff to give us general information that they have about each one of the items. When we finish that, those of you who are here requesting an item, we'll ask you to come forward and give us any additional information. It doesn't have to be long. We asked everyone try to keep your comments within the 3 minutes, and then there may be some questions that the board will need to ask. And following that, we'll have a public hearing on each one of the items. So you will have a chance, those of you who are to speak one way or the other. I want to also at this time, no one's asked me for my opinion, but I want to acknowledge that our county attorney is here, and he's always here for the time that I've ever been going to the BZA Planning Commission or the County Commission. We've always had an attorney, and we appreciate that, the good work that you guys do. And I know sometimes we get involved in lawsuits. I've been to all of those representing you folks, and we've had a county attorney there at every one of them. And those are tedious types of things. You just don't go one time. It's a multitude of items, and they're always there, and they do a really great job of representing the county. So sometimes you want to just pause and appreciate what these folks do for us. And if you as a member, if you ever want to call, you get right through to them. It's a priority. If I go over there, it's a priority. So it's one of those things that are really, you don't realize it until you need it. So thank you for your fine work and your organization over there. The first item of business we have is a request by David Lamb, who is requesting variance relief on a radio tower, and this is for 110 feet. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2017-04 is a variance request of 75 feet from the maximum height limitation of 35 feet for a radio tower measuring 110 feet. The property is located in a residential medium density zoning district, and Mr. Lamb is a ham radio operator, and on his 6.18 acres would like to erect a 110-foot lattice-style antenna that he uses in his ham radio operations. This is for a personal hobby, as well as he also provides a public service to the community whenever needed. The tower itself will measure more than 120 feet from any property line. It will be located towards the back of his property. These are photos of the surrounding area off of Murray Cottrell Road. If I didn't mention the address, it's at 1420 Murray Cottrell Road. And you can see photos. The applicant indicates that the reasoning for the tower height is to improve or allow for a better signal due to the topography in the surrounding area. As you can see, the hills that might obstruct a radio signal. The antenna will be located towards the rear of the property, behind the house. And as you can see, he's proposing to place it here, and it will be a guide antenna. And we received one phone call that was informational regarding this application, and this concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? Come around. Do we have David here as well? David, okay. Just in case there's some questions to you. Okay, just come on around here.
My name is Joe Gurley. Mr. Lamb has asked me to assist him in his presentation to the BZA this afternoon. For those that don't know my background, I've sited over 250 towers with major carriers and with the state of Tennessee. The staff had some negative. I would just like to quickly give some rebuttal to the non-favorable recommendations from the staff. With regard to item 1, that the primary amateur band for long-range communications is 20 meters. The wavelength there is about 66 feet. Good engineering practice indicates that the ideal antenna height is 1.5 times the wavelength, which comes out to be around 99 to 100 feet. So therefore, it would be more than an inconvenience to him. It would inhibit his practice of the hobby in the best manner. As far as being applicable to other properties within the same district, I don't think they are, because to my knowledge, none of those other properties are the people licensed to operate amateur radio. Amateur radio requires a license issued by the Federal Communications Commission. And I think this body is familiar with PRB 1 and state law regarding the minimal regulation of that activity in terms of siting of towers. Once again, with regard to item 6, that the minimum variance will make possible the reasonable use of land, building, or structure. Staff finds that the reasonable use, and our contention is that the reasonable use, it would inhibit reasonable use based on the fact that in order to enjoy his hobby and also serve the community, many of you know that in times of disaster that amateur radio provides a backup for public safety communications, and so therefore in order to do this to the best of his ability, he needs this variance. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and Mr. Lamb is here also to answer any questions.
Commissioner and Mr. Lamb, got a question, 2 questions. First one would be, would there be a way that you possibly could allow, like Rutherford County, to our fire, EMS, sheriff's office, those type of, is there something where if in the event we needed something in that area to put a repeater up or whatever, would that be an interest to you to be able to allow that?
It would definitely be an interest to me, yes, sir.
Okay, because I know, and the commissioner, when he worked at the county, was involved in that, so there may be a dead zone in that area that might need some help as far as public safety, and I appreciate you allowing that. And my second question would be do you have any interest in maybe renting to cell phone companies or anything like that?
No, sir, not at all. As a ham radio operator, I cannot have any pecuniary interest at all, so it would be no monetary involvement at all.
Okay.
Even if I was associated with the county, I couldn't accept monies as a ham radio operator. So.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who would like to speak on it. Close the public hearing. We have a motion on it. I have a motion to be approved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Veronica Buchanan, Joe Machado,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Michael Rather,
Yes.
Jared Barrett,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes. Item is approved. The next item we have is Jeff Buck, who is requesting a special exemption on personal storage. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2017-05 is a request for special exception to allow the establishment of a non-commercial storage facility to be used for personal storage upon a property located in a residential medium density zone. The property is located off Hill Lane, and the applicant, Mr. Jeff Buck, has 23.14 acres off of Hill Lane. In your packets, you will see that the applicant supplied us with evidence from a soil scientist indicating that the site did not show any or have any locations that would support the installation of a septic system. So in order to be able to store some personal items on this property, he would like to erect or construct a 1,248 square foot building that would store personal items, a trailer, a Polaris Ranger, and a tractor on the property. We did receive one phone call from a neighbor indicating that they were in support of Mr. Buck's application, and they also indicated he kept his property in good condition. These are photos of the site and the surrounding area. It's fairly well wooded. And you can see on this the approximate location of where Mr. Buck proposes to place the structure. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this? If you'll come forward, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Buck. Purchased this property a little over a year ago. As you probably saw in the videos, it's completely wooded. Purchased it for recreational use. And the proposed location is such that it's off the road far enough where, quite honestly, you probably won't even see the barn ever. And just for recreational purposes.
You plan on eventually building there?
No, there's no perk site. I have no intent of ever building on this property. So I actually live just in Nolensville, just about 10 minutes from this facility. So I come down here and go hunting and four-wheeling and that sort of stuff on the property. So.
Mr. Buck, will this be a stick-built building, or is this going to be something that be moved in?
My intent is to have a concrete slab poured and actually be a metal building on top of a concrete slab. So it'd be built on site, not a moved in.
Is there going to be any electricity hooked up to it?
No.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing.
Move to approve, Mr.
Have a
Chairman.
motion to be approved.
Second.
Have a second. Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Veronica Buchanan, Joe Machado,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain, Michael Rather, Jared Barrett,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes. It is approved. The next item is a request for Matthew Carroll, who is requesting a special exemption for an accessory dwelling. And what do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2017-006 involves the property located at 417 Design Road. It's a request for special exception approval for an accessory dwelling unit that does not meet the design standards for ADUs involving a property in the RL, residential low-density zone. The site is a 5.5 acre property, and the applicant is in the process and has, I believe, already obtained the permits for the installation of a double-wide home that he plans to live in once it's complete. Currently, he lives in a single-wide that's located towards the front of the property. At the request of the applicant, we investigated the property lines with the help of the property assessor's office, and there's some discrepancy between whether or not this strip here was intended to be an easement or is owned by this property towards the back. We did check into this with the property assessor's office, and they indicated that the shape as shown in our GIS system is correct, and that there is a slight encroachment, or an encroachment, I wouldn't necessarily say it was slight, of the existing single wide. So we want to bring your attention to that. The applicant would like the opportunity to keep the single wide on the property once it's complete for family and friends or guests. Now, our regulations for accessory dwelling units automatically require an accessory dwelling unit that involves a single wide to come before you for special exception. So these are photos of the surrounding area. We did get an informational call from someone who had received one of the notices, and 2 calls in opposition to the request with concerns relating to noise and activities taking place at the single wide. This is a site plan that's supplied by the applicant. However, it's not the most accurate when you look at the existing shape in our GIS, and the property line pretty much crosses this. Now, the applicant's probably still going to look into this, and speak to the appraiser's office to ask them to maybe re-review the deeds involving these properties. But staff would like to recommend that the board, if they choose to approve this request, that if it is approved, that you should condition upon the compliant placement of the single wide on the property with the setbacks that are established for the RL zone. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? You'll come around, please. Name and any additional information.
My name is Matthew Carroll. I live there. From what I understand, that the property line there is it's supposed to be an easement. It's not supposed to be his property. It does run right through my trailer. And I just want a bigger house, actually. It's small.
Any questions? Jerry?
Are you able to move this trailer to be in compliance? Should you be able to keep it?
I could move my single wide, yes.
Not only have to be on your property, but then you'd have to meet setback.
What is the setback?
10 feet for the sides, 40 from the front.
I should be able to do that, yes.
Willing to go to the expense to move the trailer to keep it?
Yes.
Would it be for rental or family?
No, it's just for family.
This property, before, he's owned it for a year. May I speak? He's owned it for a year. Oh, my
Just
name
give
is
him your name.
Kathy Carroll Padone. I'm
That's
his
my
mom.
mom.
The property has been in our family for 10 years. The single wide that he currently lives in used to be a rental. He purchased it about 1.5 years ago, so it's, I understand somebody called about a noise complaint. That I'm sure was from past, because there were some sketchy people that lived there. It was a rental. I don't think that in the last year that has been a problem, but this easement that we've always thought was an easement, we're just learning of this I just learned of it a couple minutes ago, that it is in fact a portion of, I think it's Mr. Brown's property back there. And we've also learned that he's wanting to sell, so our next step is going to be to go talk to him and see if he can't just release the easement, because he's never used it. It's never been something that he needed. He has access to that property, to his property from another spot on New Zion Road.
Gary, do you have a question?
So you're going to be trying to put a double wide in the back part of the property?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you actually checked to see how much it costs to move a manufactured home?
I'm in the process of doing it right now. It's pretty expensive.
Yeah. and to get it where it meets code and all that stuff, it's going to be an undertaking.
He's paid a lot of the fees and everything up to this date. Waiting for this hearing, he is willing to move the small trailer off of it if it's not approved. However, he would prefer to leave it there because we do have a large family that come and visit, and that's a good opportunity for them for overflow to stay there. But his intention is to have the larger double wide for him to live in because he needs a lot more space, bottom line.
Any other question? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who would like to speak. Come forward here. If you give us your name and any general information you'd like to share.
My name is Chet Conkle, and I recently purchased a property just to the right of him. It's lot 1 and 2, and I just wanted to say that I have no qualms whatsoever for however he wants to play this out. If he wants to move the trailer or not, have that double wide in the back, that's perfectly okay with me. I own the 17 acres just to the right. So it's all 11,417, but mine would be lot 1 and 2. It'll be just to the right. There's another easement right there, and it goes up around to the side of him. I own the 17 acres to this side of that. Anyway,
Thank you.
that's all.
Appreciate it. Anyone else?
Yes, my name is David Olive. I own a property at 11448 New Zion Road, which is right across the road from this property. And also, I'm up here speaking from my mother-in-law, which is a joint property, joins this property, which is 11383 New Zion Road, Dixie Bell. She's elderly and sick, not able to be here. But I just don't think it's appropriate for what they want to do. Right now, the power's on the easement, and the electricity, the power and the water both is on the easement. The trailer is almost a property, the easement that goes right halfway through the middle of the trailer, where it's sitting at right now. And I just don't think it's appropriate to leave that trailer sitting there.
Questions? Thank you, sir. Anyone else? It's open for a public hearing. Close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion on this. Yes?
Would it be appropriate to delay our decision to give him time to find out what he can do?
Up to you guys. I don't make the motions. Any other discussions on this question?
I mean, I understand where Jerry's coming from because it's going to be an expense to this gentleman, and I think, I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but I think it's going to be a bigger expense than he actually realizes right now. That's being moved because he's going to have to move the structure with a licensed company. He's going to have to bring it to code. He's going to have to move the electrical over. I mean, there's going to be, and it may be more of an expense than maybe what the property or the structure may be valued at. So, I mean, to give him the benefit of the doubt, to be able to look and see that, what that costs versus, what it's going to entail for him. And also my question would be to staff, our guidelines basically really doesn't allow this. Is that correct?
Correct. When you bring in a double wide, another trailer, and you've got one there, they can keep that trailer there until they occupy the double, okay? And what you would have to do is give an exemption to that for what they're asking. But the rules are that they have to move it once he's moved in. You want a variance for that is what he's asking.
And I'm afraid if we approve this for him and we're going to set him up for failure, and we're going to be setting him up for a cost that may be more than what he really wants to spend. So, I mean, I think give him time to to look at a cost analysis would be beneficial to him as a
I'm sorry, once the public hearing's over with, that's it. I apologize to you. That's just not appropriate. If you want to delay this for some time, you can do that, realize. You know, you can delay this up to 90 days if you'd like, and let them look into it. Or if you feel like you're setting a precedence by allowing this to happen, which you could, that's another thing that you need to look at on it. But we can make a motion on this and let everybody decide one way.
Well, my other concern is, I mean, we've had others that we've denied similar to this, and being fair to everybody.
That's right.
You know, and consistent. You know, so that's.
Make a motion, let's see.
I make a motion that we postpone this 30 days and let him do
90 days, up to 90 days.
90 days, and let him determine if it's cost effective for him to move the manufactured home.
Have a second to that. Got a second. Call a roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Veronica Buchanan, Joe Machado,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Michael Rather,
Yes.
Jared Barrett,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes, it is delayed up to 90 days, and you can get back with our staff to give a report on whether this is going to be cost-effective for you or not. You may find out that it'd be better to just go ahead and move it. I'm not saying that we will or we won't approve it at the 90 days, but you have up until that time. And if you want further information, Gary, you can see our staff about it. The next item we have is a request. I'm moving on now. The next item we have is a request by Gregory and Dara Hagler, who is requesting a special exemption approval for a group child care home. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2017-007 is a request for special exception approval for the establishment of a group child care home upon a property located in the RM Medium Density Residential Zoning District. The applicant, Dara Hagler, is requesting to establish a daycare at her home at 3109 Barrett's Ridge Drive. It's a .34 acre parcel, and it's located in the Barrett's Ridge subdivision. The Rutherford County zoning ordinance requires more than 4 to 12 children. Requires a daycare established in a home requires special exception approval. If it was less than 4, then she would be able to operate the daycare from the home, or if it's greater than 12, someone would have to apply for a zoning change to allow for a daycare center. The applicant obviously is aware of all the requirements of the state, that they will require an inspection in certain play areas, and obtain approval from them before establishing the daycare center. We did receive a phone call regarding this application, but they did not indicate any opposition. They just had questions as to what the group child care home term meant. And the applicant has indicated that the existing driveway is ample enough to support parents bringing their children and dropping their children off without having to back out into the highway or street. And she included a site plan in her application materials. And staff concludes its presentation.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around, please.
Good evening. It's actually Dara Hagler. And it's just me doing the daycare, not my husband. His name is just on the house, too. I did a in-home daycare back in West Tennessee, where we are originally from. We moved to Nashville in 2011. I currently work in administration. I'm administrative lead at Vanderbilt. We unexpectedly had another baby last year, so that kind of threw our plans off some. So I want to be at home more. We have 5 children in the home. We have 6 total. So I'm familiar with children. We have children of all ages in our home, 17, 16, 12, 3, and 7 months. So of course, I'm used to children. I'm very experienced with children. I already have my Tennessee EIN number from the last time I did the daycare back in West Tennessee. So we were just waiting to buy a house when we just bought this house December of last year.
Are you keeping children now?
No, I won't keep any children until I know I have enough, and I will not be keeping over 9 children.
Have any prospects at this time?
I haven't put up my signs yet. I wanted to wait till I got the approval.
All of these will be up to what age group?
I'm only going to keep probably 6 weeks up to 4. When they're able to go to school, then, you know.
Have outside play area, is that correct?
I do. I have a fenced backyard.
Is it fenced?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Jerry?
Just, you know, one of our conditions is about backing out in the street. How are you going to get that? How's that going to work?
When you come down Barrett's Ridge Drive, even if they have to, that area where that house is, 3102, that's a corner lot. They can, when they come down Barrett's Ridge Drive, they can make a right there, come all the way around, and come back up in front of my house. It's literally just a pull around.
You're saying they're going to park on the street?
If they need to park on the street right in front of the house, it's enough for 3 cars. Our road is not busy at all. There's enough in a driveway, even if I have to open the back up for them to pull in and pull out, but no one should have to pull out, turn around. It shouldn't be that busy for that. Like I said, it's only going to be probably 5 children, you know, so.
Any other questions? Gary?
Oh, go ahead, Gary.
No, go ahead.
Yes.
Do y'all have a homeowners association there in the subdivision?
No, sir. No.
Jerry?
You said, so you're going to be allowed up to 12 kids. How many of those children would be your children, or would they all be 12 kids from somebody else?
No, 2 are mine.
So
I'm not going to keep
10 total?
7, no more than 7 for me.
Okay.
Yes.
I was just trying to get a handle on that.
Okay.
Trying to figure out how many people would be coming to the house.
Any other questions? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on it?
It appears that it meets all the requirements that we've got in our zoning ordinance, correct?
It does. It's questionable as to whether or not people pulling up into the driveway can drop their children off, back up, and then pull back out onto Barrett's Drive. We typically don't allow for someone to take into consideration on-street parking as part of their plan. She did indicate that the small number, you wouldn't have that many trips, probably. It's one of those things that if she had already established it, we'd pretty much know from the neighbors if it was causing a problem or if it's completely unnoticeable. But she would definitely need to have some kind of turnaround area. Now, she indicated the way that the pavement is that they would, on her plan, be able to pull up and back up and then pull out onto Barrett's Drive.
If we were to approve it and then put in a stipulation in there that if something occurs and it's causing problems because of this, is that acceptable?
I would think with any kind of special exception that's approved based on it having to demonstrate meeting certain criteria, and she has indicated that there is space on her existing driveway, that if it became a problem that we receive complaints on, she would be given the opportunity to correct it, or it would be brought before you again to be re-reviewed.
With that being said, what I'll do is I'll make a motion that we approve the request with the stipulations that you just stated, and if there's any complaints come back, we'll address it at a later date.
Is that okay? Does that follow our?
I don't think he's adding anything that would be, it would ordinarily be that way anyways. It would come back if there were complaints about someone backing out of a driveway, so I think that that's fair to add.
Have a second to it.
I'll second it.
Have a second. Call a roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Veronica Buchanan, Joe Machoto,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Michael Rather,
No.
Jared Barrett,
No.
Zane Cantrell,
Yes. What did we get?
4 yes and 2 no's. So it's approved.
Thank you. Do we have anything else?
No, sir.
We are adjourned.